All right, now, every so often, the mention of the HTML editor has come up for us. And you know that WordPress has either the visual editor or the HTML editor, but we have yet to actually see the HTML editor in action. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this exercise. So I find myself inside the browser tab that is previewing the live blog, which is no good. I got to go back to the back end. So give me a second here. I'm going to flip back over to the back end of the blog. What I want to show you first is I want to give you a tour of the HTML editor. I'll kind of show you what's what there. And I want to show you editing a post, an existing post inside the HTML editor. And then what we'll do is we'll work in some Dreamweaver and we will create a post from some Dreamweaver content. I hope that sounds rockin' to you. So let's get busy here. What I'm going to do, that sounded crazy. Let's get busy. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip over to posts on the left-hand side, into edit, of course, if it didn't bring you to this screen already. And what I'm going to do is I will, of course, click on what is Flash, the sample post that you and I have been using thus far. And it throws me into the HTML editor because that was the last editor that I had opened just a moment ago before I hit record. Now, this is actually kind of cool. Kind of a goof up on my part because really, this is what you see, right? And this is what I should have shown you when I hit record. But in any regard, what's cool here to note is whichever editor tab you leave open at the top, it's kind of cool, actually. WordPress remembers the tab that you had last left open, right? So I hope it doesn't make a liar out of me, but I'm going to flip over to Visual here. And then if I go over to Add New, like in other words, to go and create a new post there on the left, bang, I'm in the Visual Editor again, right? Now, let's see here. Now I'm curious. I'm going to go back over to Edit, and then back into what is Flash, and then back to HTML, and then back to Add New on the left. And, oh yeah, I get a little warning here. I'm going to go, okay. Let's see what we get here. There. Okay, so thus confirmed my suspicions. I was almost 100% sure that it would leave us on the HTML tab, and it did. So there you go. Isn't that awesome? So whichever tab you leave the editor on, Visual or HTML, that's the tab that WordPress is going to throw you into the next time you wind up inside a screen such as this one. All right, now, as cool as that is, that's really not what we're here to learn about. We're here to learn about this HTML editor, and we want to see about editing posts inside this HTML editor. So give me a sec. I'm going to head back over to Edit on the left-hand side, back into what is Flash. And then what I'd like you to do, and make sure you do here, is that you are indeed on the HTML editor tab at the top there, right where my cursor is indicating. All right, now that we're in here, let me show you the sites. First of all, we have a toolbar running across the top here. Pretty straightforward stuff, bold and italic, and there's a button there to create a hyperlink and block quotes and all kinds of stuff, inserting images and unordered lists and ordered lists and list items and all kinds of good stuff, right? And above that, we have that upload insert toolbar that gives us the ability to insert images and multimedia and audio and all kinds of good stuff, right? So that guy's still there, but our toolbar has changed slightly. Beyond that, nothing else has changed on this screen. In other words, we still have the same publish options there on the right, our tags and our categories and all the good stuff that we had seen before, right? So no worries there. What's cool here, though, is I think a while back I had mentioned that the visual and HTML editors were very similar to Dreamweaver's code and design views, right? So if you're used to the Dreamweaver world of, you know, working and that kind of workflow, it's the same idea here now. I see that original post that you and I were working on, but now I see all the code, all of the HTML code. So there's the heading 4 that you and I had set up. There's the numbered list or the ordered list that you and I had set up, and so on, right? You can see in here, there's the hyperlink href equals, and then we had linked up to the Flash page on the Adobe website, right? And we told that link to open up inside a new blank browser window, right? Now, I'm not expecting that you know HTML, by the way. If you've never really messed with it before, first of all, it's not rocket science. It's the easiest thing in the world. Don't be intimidated by it at all. You got a starting point, H4. You have some content, and then you have a closing point, close H4. That's kind of it. For italics, you have open emphasis, and then the content, the super beast, the juggernaut of interactivity and motion in web design, and then the italics, or the emphasis as it's called here, ends or closes, right? That's really all there is to it. Most HTML tags have a starting point and then an ending point. Not all of them, but most of them. So anyway, this isn't an HTML course here, but I thought I'd throw a little bit at you at least. Okay, so what can we do at this point now that we kind of understand how this all works? Well, how about we go and create a new post? So on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on Add New. And of course, it throws me into the Add New Post screen, and it dumps me into the HTML editor because that was the last editor that you and I had turned on, right? For the title, I'm going to type in Flash's minimum requirements. Okay, perfect. Drop my cursor into the HTML editor. Don't forget that you're going to get that permalink showing up. Remember, we talked about permalinks earlier. And what I could do from this point is, if I knew HTML, I could start typing out code if I wanted to. For example, I could do something like, you know, H3, or sorry, open angle bracket, H3, close angle bracket, and then here's Flash's system requirements, and then open angle bracket / H3 close angle bracket to close out that tag. And then I could hit enter maybe once or twice and then open up a paragraph and, you know, type in some stuff and then close the paragraph and so on, right? You kind of get the idea. And then I could maybe add in a list or create a hyperlink or who the heck knows, right? But I have to admit that working in this way is really quite slow, and certainly prone to human error if you forget an angle bracket or if you forget to close something entirely, something like this, right? So what I would love to do is actually get rid of all this content and go and grab some content that I've already created for us in Dreamweaver. So I'm going to show you how to work with Dreamweaver and get Dreamweaver to help us create a post for WordPress. And we're going to do that in the next exercise, so sit tight.